In prison, you don't have a lot of control over anything, so you only have control. You have to learn self-efficacy and self-discipline and stuff, like, because you are the only thing you really have a modicum of control over. So you want keep your cell tidy, keep yourself tidy, keep if I'm doing stuff, just I want to make sure I don't make mistakes or learn from the mistakes. It's a way of taking back power that you don't have. Hey man, prison made me a man though. I don't regret it. Like, I don't think I would have learned a lot of stuff. Let's just say my life had been minus the prison, which a lot of people I know are. Like, they'll be a drug addict or a fuck up, but they don't necessarily go to prison, right? I'm glad that I went to prison because it taught me how to be a man. Like, it taught me to stand up for myself. It taught me to, like, one of my problems growing up, to go back to a question you asked, I got bullied a lot and I didn't stick up for myself. And if I had to, I wish my parents had taught me to stick up for myself a bit more. Again, I don't want to go down a road of blaming my family, because that is what it is, and I'm 40 years old, and who gives a shit? Now is now. But they were their own problems, whatever was going on with them, they didn't teach me how to stand up for. So I got bullied a lot. So then when I got into prison, I'm forced to have to deal with this shit, because, like, they're fucking violent psychopaths and dangerous people who won't stop bullying or fucking being predators if you don't stand up to them.
You started going in when you were 16?
15, yeah. So
up until
27. So learning how to prison taught me how to stand up for myself, and it taught me discipline. It taught me taking responsibility. It taught me honor. It taught me loyalty. It taught me keep your word. It taught me ethics in an odd kind of a way, because when you're in prison, you have to. The relationships you have with other people, like, you don't want to be a fuck up and a loser, because you'll fucking get murdered potentially if you piss people off. Yeah, right. So, and oddly enough, when I got out the last time, when I was in 2007, I kept a lot of those habits, and they've helped me have a stable life. Advantages, one of the things I liked about living like that is I felt free. Biggest challenge I've had since I got out of prison is trying to learn all these stupid social rules that don't make any sense, especially in Canada, especially in Vancouver. A lot of it's just arbitrary, stupid shit that isn't even functional. But to get back, just to expand on a question you asked. So when I went back to prison after robbing that bank, so in 2006, I got back to prison because I remember I robbed the bank to go home, what I thought was home, the only safe place I'd known since I was 15.
Yeah.
For some reason, when I got back that time, I didn't like being there. First time in my life, I was like, uh-oh, I don't like being in prison anymore.
What was different?
I don't know. Just that time it was different. I think if I had to guess, it's because I tried to go straight. But before I robbed the bank, I didn't want to commit crime anymore. But I just felt like I didn't belong in society.
What were you trying to do? What kind of jobs did you find?
Just whatever, and that was the problem. I wasn't able to really find jobs, and I wasn't skilled at anything. Yeah. And then, so when I got back to prison, I think because I'd just changed my values just a little bit, where I didn't want to be a criminal anymore, it just felt like I didn't belong in society, or I didn't belong in prison anymore. So you asked about what was the moment. If I had to reduce it down to one moment, that's the closest I can get to that answer, is when I got back to prison after intentionally getting sent back there. I got a rude awakening because I didn't like it there. So then from there, I ended up quitting drugs again. I ended up getting released on parole. I got released on parole to a rehab, and then I just each decision and action and after that was just basically whatever I have to do to change so I don't have to be in prison where I don't feel like I belong anymore.
You felt really alien this time. Right?
It just didn't work. It wasn't home. It was not home anymore. And society didn't feel like it was home either. Yeah. Remember, I'd robbed a bank to get sent back to prison. But I knew that there's no future in prison, whereas there's maybe a future in society.
That's kind of awful, because like, you felt like an alien in society, and you go back to your own planet, and it's like
something had changed, but it wasn't
something weird, something.
It was something here had changed, right?
You're seeing through different lenses, and
just slightly too. It wasn't much. It was just, dude, and I just all of a sudden I'm like, nope, I don't like this. And nothing happened. There was nothing tragic. There was nothing traumatic. It was no different than any other time I'd been to prison.
And like in your head, you're like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And then I just went, all right, well, I guess I gotta, again, eventually, step by step, I knew that getting out of prison is easy. Staying out is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out, they let you out no matter what. It's what do you do once you get out? And then the hardest part about doing time in prison is once you get out, adjusting into society and changing your life so you don't go back there.
Before we talk about that stage, what's it like getting off heroin, and what do you have to say about that to people who have similar struggles?
It's all sort of connected. So it's hard, but I don't know. It's not easy getting clean. But again, I just reached a point where I'd rather the difficulty of getting clean than the disillusionment with active addiction and criminality.
Mm-hmm. How big of a struggle was that?
The physically not taking drugs anymore wasn't really the hardest part. It's changing your head in life so you don't want to use drugs. That's the hard part. That's a lifetime thing. That's why people have to pretty much stay in recovery for the rest of their lives.
Changing your mind.
Well, it's changing your values, changing your beliefs, taking personal responsibility, learning how to govern emotions, learning how to manage things, learning social skills, learning to be productive, learning how to deal with unhappiness, learning how to deal with boredom, learning how to deal with loneliness, learning how to deal with rejection, learning how to deal with anger, and then also finding meaning in life in whatever way that is. So like if it's painting, if it's maybe you find a job, maybe it's university, whatever your thing is, right? And then if you do all those things, and there's a lot, you eventually have a life where happiness isn't constant, but you have a life where you're stable and content enough where you don't feel like, oh, heroin would make this better, or oh, I'm in so much emotional pain, I need heroin. You're even keel, and your life is so good, even if it's not good, you don't need drugs.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Like I think about myself, like if I had a drug problem, I don't.
This shit applies to people who don't even have drug problems, though. Yeah.
Drug problems.
Yeah.
I have a bit of ADHD,
Yeah.
a little bit of disorganization, and really just sorting out your life. But when you have, like, say, not much of a family